you can see. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hi.
It's alive.
All you investigators of the mythos out there in YouTube land. We've returned once again. We've lost one of our members. Rina was last seen gibbering about strange squamous things that lurked under a gibbous moon and were chasing after her. I think she may have been dragged off by some squamous creatures from some other dimension. But
she went to the window.
Yeah, even out it was the window. She found a nameless city and got dragged through a strange door. But yes, we've been reading through the book that Zlata was just showing for you there, and this week we've been reading The Color Out of Space.
Yep.
How did everyone enjoy it? How did everyone find it?
Oh, it was something, I must say. I'm surprised again that the narrator actually survived.
Yeah.
I was like,
Once again, an unnamed narrator.
Yeah, once again. But we did have more characters this time.
We did. What did you think of it, spacebunzz? Did you read it through just the once or a couple of times? How did you read?
I only got through it once because that was a really long book. But honestly, it was intense, honestly, for one of his stories. It was kind of like, wow, this is more like a horror story than I think anything else has been so far. Dang.
Yeah, it's true.
I do think all of them had horror elements, though. But this
one, there was actually a protagonist that was kind of there, and there was a sense of dread all the way through as well, wasn't there? I thought like there was a sense of there's some lurking menace that was there at all times, kind of thing. He was like, when's it gonna strike? When's it gonna come out of hiding and do whatever he wants to do, kind of thing. So we go through the history first. I'll go through the history first of The Color Out of Space, the story we talked about. It was written in March 1927. Let's see if I can find it. It was published in Amazing Stories. It became one of Lovecraft's most popular works and remained his personal favourite of his short stories. Now, we've actually talked a couple of times about how much do you reckon he got paid for this kind of thing. And it actually says in here how much he got paid. He actually got paid late as well, by the way. But let me see if I can find the section where it talked about how much he got paid for this story. He got paid. Does anyone have a guess on how much he got paid for this story? This is 1928 or whatever it is. How much do you reckon he got paid?
$2.
No, not quite as low as that, but pretty low. $25 he got paid.
Dang.
Wait, for The Color Out of Space?
For The Color Out of Space, yeah, he was paid $25.
How long it is? You think they would pay him at least a bit more than that?
Well, it works out approximately $368 in present day terms, apparently. So that works out to about $368 for one of his. This is why there was, a struggle to make money, I suppose, a struggle to make ends meet, because writing didn't really pay that much, I suppose, in them days.
To be fair, $25 back then was far more than what it is today.
Well, yeah, $368. It says it works out to about $368 in modern dollars. It wouldn't pay you rent for the month or nothing like that, would it? It would get you shopping for a few months.
I guess depending where he lived, if he just rented a room, perhaps it did.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy with the editor because he paid him late. Apparently, there was something in here where he wasn't happy with him. He called him Hugo the Rat. Hugo the Rat was what he called the
the Rat.
Yeah, it says Gernsberg paid Lovecraft only $25 and was late in doing so, leading Lovecraft to refer to the publisher as Hugo the Rat. He never again submitted anything to the publication. So that appeared in,
I mean, if you're not going to pay him a lot, at least pay him on time.
Exactly. That appeared in the September edition of Amazing Stories. Let's see if I can actually...
It was amazing.
Yeah. Let's see if I can actually put a picture up of that, actually. I'll see if I can put a picture up of it. It's just... But anyway, who wants to go through the... should we go through the story now to give a basic synopsis of the story while I quickly stick up this picture? Who wants to go through? Anyone? Go on. You want to.
I'll do the best I can since I've been put on the spot. I'll do the best I can here.
We'll add a little bit to it. Right, let me just show you quickly then. I think I've got it ready now. I'm going to show you the picture, the actual the magazine that it first appeared in. There you go. Amazing Stories from September
cool.
19. Yeah, it's a pretty cool cover. That picture.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Yeah, I don't think that picture is attained to the story because it says H.G. Wells on there, so maybe that's from a H.G. Wells story. It was also
I
in the
don't
same
think
book.
I don't think it's meant to represent Lovecraft story. Hi,
Yeah,
Alex.
he would have had a few stories in the book, wouldn't it? Hi, Alex. Thanks for coming in, mate. Right,
The
so
cover probably doesn't represent the whole.
Yeah.
The whole everything they had there.
I'll let you go then, Spacebunzz. We'll let you lead on the synopsis this week.
All right. So I don't actually remember what he was. He was like a bank auditor or something,
no, it was an engineer. It was an engineer
because they were making a
came
reservoir.
to this place to look at it.
Yeah, he was going to survey it because they were making a reservoir there, wasn't they? And that's when he discovered the blasted heath. The blasted heath.
Yeah, and he heard all these stories from the locals of the strange days and of this man Ami. Is that how you pronounce his name? Ami?
Yeah, I'll go with Army Pierce, who was the neighbour of the actual place where the happenings went on. But lots of the other people said, "Oh, don't talk to Army Pierce. He's lost his marbles a little bit. There's no point."
Yeah, but then when he went to where the blasted heath was and he saw it and he felt the fear there,
there was already a sense of foreboding. Yeah, he would gone there to do this survey for this reservoir, but he looked like he was going to quit because he was there, and there's just something about the sky, something about the plant life.
And he did quit though. He did
quit.
Resigned.
But before that, he went to talk to Emmy first. He went to talk to Emmy to get more of the picture of it, I suppose. And it doesn't like it's a weird. I mean, I didn't write down a quote for it, but it's kind of like it just seems like the whole place is eerie. Something about the color of the sky, the thickness of the trees, and then there's the
grayness of everything.
It's just like grey ash, isn't it? It's just like grey ash.
H.P. Lovecraft was racist before we even invented the word.
And like nothing will grow on it. He says it looks like it could have been burnt from a fire, but normally after a fire things start to grow back, don't they? Fires are actually quite good for promoting new life in the forest, but there was no regrowth.
They do sometimes intentionally burn forests.
Yeah. They do,
in order to make room for new plants.
Yeah,
wildlife, I think.
Yeah.
So this unnamed narrator. He goes to see Amy Pierce, the neighbour, and he tells them about what happened in the blasted heath. And so it was a family
during the strange days.
Yeah, before the strange days started, it was just a normal family living there, like Nahum Gardner with his wife. I think her name was Nabby. Because later on he mentions Nabby. And 3 sons, Zenos, Thaddeus, and Merwin. There are some strange names.
I'm gonna name one of my sons Zenos.
Okay.
That's one hell of a name.
Yeah, it's an interesting name.
They're probably best not to, considering what fate the actual Zenos had.
This is very true. Yeah, this is very true.
What about my name? I was like, is that from Zeus?
I don't know. Yeah, it's a funny one. I wonder if it's anything.
Isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe it's a small person from the Bible. Maybe I'm not really sure. Nahum itself is a weird name, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know where he's got the name from. Thaddeus is the only name amongst that lot that I've heard before.
I haven't.
Cool. Maybe it's
all I can think when I read Ami, I thought of how that's how we say Hensel in Hebrew. That's the translation for Hensel in Hebrew.
Right, as in Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So back to you, Spacebunzz. What happens next?
Well, so okay.
Hi, Mr. Dino.
At the place, like at the house, they talked about I don't know if they ever actually called it a meteorite or if my brain just
they did. They called it a meteorite.
Yeah.
Okay.
They referred to it as
did my brain just decide that? But yeah, they find that, and the story about that was really weird because they took a piece off of it and then tried to take it somewhere.
Scientists and Ami went to the house of Nam. Yeah. And they took a piece of this thing. But it was so weird because it kept shrinking on them.
Yeah, it was like it was a meteorite that landed, crashed in the ground in the night, and it had no properties of Earth, did it? Like it was like a rock, but it felt like plastic or soft. Yeah, it was soft. It wouldn't cool down. They put all different reagents, acid, and so forth, and like it even melted glass. Because they even put it in glass cups, like a glass beaker, and it just disappeared. And they actually said when they first got there, it's smaller than it was, and they said that's totally ridiculous. Rocks don't shrink, but how long they were.
But then they saw around where it landed that the Earth was
the impact crater was wider than the actual meteor gave reference to. Yeah. But that was the kind of like the early part of the book. After, like, when we get introduced to Amy, he introduces us to the Gardner family, tells us about the meteorite. And this meteorite, after like various tests, they got no kind of idea on what it is. They kind of go back again to get another sample of it. And when they do that, like, there's a little bit sort of.
And that's like the moment they doom the whole family.
Yeah, because it seems like there's something inside the rock. If it is a rock.
Yeah, and then one of the scientists or professors breaks it.
That's right. I did actually do a little. I think I do a little bit on this bit here. So there's 3 professors from the Miskatonic University from Arkham, which are 2 places which are mentioned often in Lovecraft stuff. Arkham is like his most famous town.
Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum, exactly. Batman totally took it from Lovecraft. Arkham Asylum was taken from Lovecraft.
It fits though.
Yeah,
I think only Lovecraft could come up with some of Batman's villains.
Yeah, it's very true, very true. There should be a like a Cthulhu type creature for Batman's rogue gallery, if you ask me, just to sort of match the Arkham Asylum.
That would be awesome. Nigel, you should have a Nigel.
Nyarlathotep, yeah. Let's see. I've written a little bit down here that I think was to do with the little thing that was found inside it. It says the color, which resembled some of the bands in the meteor strange spectrum, was almost impossible to describe, and it was only by analogy they called it color at all. Its texture was glossy, and upon tapping it, appeared to promise both brittleness and hollowness. One of the professors gave it a smart blow with a hammer, and it burst with a nervous little pop. Nothing was emitted, and all trace of the thing vanished with the puncturing. It left behind a hollow spherical space about 3 inches across, and all thought it probable that others would be discovered as the enclosing substance wasted away. So it's like the outer sort of it's like maybe it's like a frog spawn. Like it's like the outer shell is like the container for the tiny little seeds that are inside. It's either like an alien seed pod, maybe it's like analogous to an alien seed pod, or like a frog spawn, like with an outerness, and there's a couple of little embryos inside or something.
You think it would have actually managed to get out if it wasn't for it being broken? You think if they just let it shrink?
Yeah, they were still.
Would it have? You think it would still have?
Oh yeah.
Because I kept wondering back if that scientist didn't do it, if that family would have survived.
Yeah. I think it's actually possible. Thinking about it, I never actually thought about it until you mentioned it then. But I've just brought out this maybe seed or egg kind of analogy. If it was an egg, maybe left it for longer, it would have got away quicker, would have been stronger quicker, because they broke into it, it wasn't able to just stay for as long as it needed to. Maybe by them tampering with it, it didn't like get birthed in its normal way, and maybe that's why it was weak when it first came out. And maybe that's why it took a while before it got its strength up.
It took an entire year to take effect.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's a possibility. I hadn't even thought about it to that point. But if it was like an alien life form. But apparently Lovecraft, he wanted to make an alien story, but he wanted to make it so alien because he said all these kind of stories of like aliens from around that time were like humanoid aliens, you always get from sci-fi. But he wanted to make something so alien as to be completely unrecognizable at first, as even being a creature at all. It's literally just a hue, a color, or a gas, or whatever it is that it turns out to be.
Lovecraft tells us to leaves it to our imagination.
Yeah,
how his monsters look.
Yeah, but anyway, the meteor eventually just dissipates completely, doesn't it? It dissipates completely, sinks down into the earth, or seeps.
And there's nothing left of it.
Nothing left of it at all.
And the scientists go back home.
Yeah, all forgotten about. Mayhem sort of talks about it a little bit. It's like, oh, remember that time I had a meteor in my garden, blah blah blah. But then life goes on as usual. At first, it all seems well because the fruit and everything is growing large and like luscious looking. But when they actually try and harvest it and bite into it, it turns out it's spoiled. it's mysteriously spoiled, and like things around the crops are getting weird, like different hues on the flowers that are not usual, and different
apparently
colors.
alien vegetables are disgusting.
Yeah. I think I wrote, it said, into the fine flavour of the pears and apples had crept a stealthy bitterness and sicknessness, so that even the smallest of bites induced a lasting disgust. So they really spoil everything around the spot where it
I wonder
where
if
it
that
landed.
was the seed's way to deceive people, to make it first seem like something is growing very luscious, but then starts to suck the life out of everything.
It's like it seeped into everything somehow. Somehow it seeped into the land and ruined it and spoiled everything. Because later on we find examples of animals getting twisted as well, don't we? For animals either vanishing, the cats and dogs, leaving weird tracks. Footprints. Yeah, weird tracks in the snow that don't look quite right for normal animal tracks. And wasn't there a couple of boys who went hunting for woodchucks, and they caught a woodchuck that was so disgusting that they left it and ran away, kind of thing. It scared them, just the look of what this woodchuck looked like. At one point it was mentioned. So yeah, it's then the animals on the farm, the ones that have the cats and dogs disappeared, either ran away, or maybe later on we find out they didn't run away, but and then the
sucked dry.
Yeah, the cows.
Oh, hello, Firehawk.
Die. The pigs all start to die.
No, wait. Before that, it was mainly the land.
Yeah,
the animals come after the humans, actually.
Yeah.
First, it was the land, all the weirdness going on, the colors. Remember, Alexa's
also
it was the.
Yeah,
that makes me think like it has something to do with eating things that came out of the earth. Then, like that's
I think it's poisoned the earth. I think it's
maybe like Mr. Gray said, it took it time because they broke it. It took it time to be able to suck the life out of things.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe that was it.
Into the earth.
Ah, yeah.
And then onto the earth, into the people.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe it was stuck in the well.
Yeah, like
as well.
Well, when it sunk into the ground, when these little, we don't know how many of these little capsules are inside the meteorite.
Yeah.
But however, them sunk into the ground, perhaps because the well is low in the ground, maybe they just naturally went to the well. So then they seeped through the ground to the well, which would have been dug into the earth, wouldn't it? So that's when they sort of made it into the well. That's when the water starts to get spoiled. But I think it kind of, as well as like affecting the wild stock, even though the animals weren't being fed from, he said, even though the animals weren't being fed from plants from the farm, they still started getting sick. So whether it's a proximity thing, like maybe like a radiation, like possibly like a radiation, because I suppose in them days they weren't that familiar with radiation, were they? I don't know. So maybe it was like a radiation. Yeah.
No, that would make sense. And like, I think at that time we probably did know that you could get radiation at least via contact in some ways. I don't think we knew how serious it was going to be, but like we knew it happened.
It was 1930s when he wrote it, right?
1920s.
Yeah, 1920s. They still didn't know how dangerous it was. Mr. Gray, are you all right? Mr. Gray? I think his camera got stuck.
I think he got frozen.
Either that or he's concentrating really hard. I think it got frozen because we can't even hear if he's saying something.
Nope. How interesting.
How weird. Or it's Cthulhu.
Or it's Cthulhu. It's Cthulhu's fault. We blame Cthulhu.
Cthulhu's probably like, how dare you humans?
Right?
I think Mr. Gray will probably be back now. Right, so first it's the land. Maybe it did take it time because they broke it. And through the water, because they kept drinking the water, watering the plants and giving water to the animals. Maybe that's why.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
Maybe over time it just it took it time, but that's how it slowly poisoned them, started to suck the life out of them. Maybe As weird as it sounds, maybe when it was waterborne, it just went through the water to all these places.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that the animals would be drinking the water in the area. Like, that makes sense. Why wouldn't they?
But at first, when the trees are not that good and the first crop dies, he moves a lot of the animals. No, the animals later, but he plants other crops that are uphill.
Yeah.
So those are probably not watered from the well. They're watered from someplace else.
So maybe it's got to be in the earth, like the actual earth, which I mean could like mess with the water.
Yeah, but how? You think if it went into the earth, that it would spread just everywhere? It would get into some vines and everywhere. But it seems to only be locked in this one spot, in where this house is.
I could be wrong, but I did think at a point it kind of described something weird washing over the entire area he was in. Like, it kind of spread.
All right, Mr. Gray lost his internet. We'll keep going until he comes back. Yeah, unfortunately. Technical difficulties, indeed.
You know, it happens.
Yeah, it is what it is. Right, so that happened. And then right, so that started happening, and the more it started to suck the life out of it, and people around also noticed, right? Because the crops are going bad, and slowly the family itself was, I think Ami mentions that there was something starting to be weird about them, right? Before even the mom goes crazy, even before that, he says that there's something a little bit weird about them.
Yeah, like something's off.
Yeah, and that point's probably starting to suck the life out of them slowly.
Yeah, starting.
The more it escalates, they become to be shunned, right? By the rest of the village. Is it a village? I think it's a village they live in.
Village, yeah, I guess. Village, town. I don't know. I kind of get a village aspect.
It's such a long story. It's hard to remember all the details with Lovecraft story, because he also uses so many, as we mentioned in the past, so many fancy words. It's sometimes hard to. You need to read it with a dictionary open.
Yeah, literally. Well, sometimes they're so old, you have to go looking through a couple different things to actually figure out what that word was supposed to mean.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I even had to go check what was blasted heat. I read it as heat, and I thought heat. You mean like warmth?
I was confused by that and could not figure that out myself.
Her mind snaps, I think, because of all the because weird things are happening. The whole family's tense.
Yeah,
it's as if they're expecting something to hear something or to see something. And also at one point they see the trees are moving on their own. There's no wind, but the branches are moving. I don't remember which son saw that. Was it the youngest? I think no, the middle one, the Xenos.
Yes.
I think he's the one who sees it. And I think after that, and then there's a period where the school's closed. Because at that point, the kids would at least go to school. They were less affected than the parents that were at home 24/7 with whatever this thing is, this evil plan. Right. And then when the kids also start to stay home, I don't remember, was there an event after that where the mom snapped because of it? I remember there's something happened that made her snap.
I don't remember what the exact event was, unfortunately. My brain got rather stuck on the fact that they thought it was a good idea to lock her in the attic. I just don't understand why, like, what are you going to do with that? So I don't remember.
And because after her mind snapped, the Nam, he was... he didn't send... Well, we have to look at the fact that he didn't send her to a mental institution. He could have just shifted her off.
That's true.
He let her stay home and he let her walk around. I think he locked her there after she started making these horrific faces and scared the youngest son. No, she scared Xenos. He almost fainted. He almost fainted when she made those faces. And that's the point where when he locked her in the attic.
Right.
One room in the attic, and from there it just went worse. Because after some time she started walking on all fours, and then the screaming came. This thing was slowly seeping in, taking hold of their minds, of everything.
Right.
And things kept getting worse with the crops. Man, we need Mr. Grey. He remembers this stuff better.
I know. I feel so bad. I'm like, I really gotta take notes.
Yeah, me too. But the story's just so long, and the font in my book is so small; it's just hard to read through.
Oh, I can
notice that. People who love crafts. Well, we do love crafts. We do. Just Lovecraft's crafts are very scary and end you up in a mental institution normally. Right. So wait, we're in the part. Oh, there's Mr. Grey.
Yay!
You're back.
Hello. I've been away for a little while. Everything is fine now.
Blink twice if you've been kidnapped.
No, I've been abducted by aliens for a second there. I've been some colour from outer space took me away and turned me into grey from outer space. I just want to point out for Comic Mag Musings, because he's not very. I don't like to be too indelicate about him. He's a bit on the thick side, and he doesn't spell colour properly. I just want to say that H.P. Lovecraft spells colour properly. Colour is how he spells colour. So that's really good. It's good that some people know how to spell colour properly, Bill. I know you'd struggle with that. Where did you get? What did I miss? What did I miss? You probably did a much better job without me.
Nah, we need you here, Mr. Grey. You remember stuff. We're talking about the family, the mom.
Yeah, she goes mad.
Do you remember what made her snap, Mr. Grey? Because slowly the family begins to go more crazy.
Yeah.
And it goes even worse after the children, the school is over and the children are now constantly.
They're home more, that's right, yeah. I'm assuming it's just like the effect of the colour, the effect that's it's like poison the land, like also it's poison the water and they're still drinking the water. It's still drinking the water as well,
I actually mentioned that maybe
this
is what slowly made it all happen. They were drinking the water. They were watering the plants.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if, this is science fiction. the color could be having some kind of psychic effect on them. Maybe it's kind of when you think about it, like any sensible people would have said, "Screw the bloody fact that we own this land. Let's get out of here because look what's happening." Look at everything that's happening. You think you'd find some family to move to, or something like, or some charity to help you move out, or get people in to investigate more. But I don't know. I kind of think that somehow their kind of like willpower was kind of sapped by some kind of effect of the color from outer space. That's what made them go mad.
Was slowly sucking the life from them.
Yeah,
making their minds dark, like Nam tells us much later on near the end of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. I reckon so, because like literally we know they've all gone mad by the end. When the wife goes mad,
because he doesn't send her to a mental institution. As I read that, I was thinking later on that would have saved her life actually.
Yeah,
she would be far away. But he does mention that you can't leave. You feel like you can't leave.
Yeah, I think it had that kind of effect on them. I think it has some kind of stupefying effect on their minds, kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe that's why he didn't send her away.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Maybe it was this effect, and not because he didn't want to. Because you think he'd want to send her to help her.
Yeah.
To send her to people who would be able to help her with her snapped mind.
Yeah, he doesn't say why. He didn't really go into that, does he? He doesn't really go into like maybe it could be that he didn't have enough means to be able to pay for a sanatorium or something like that, or maybe he thought they'd be better off like under their care than being sent off to Arkham.
And then I wonder what kind of faces she made that made Xenos almost faint, because I imagine like all these horrific expressions she might have.
And also, she glows as well, doesn't she? She glows. They mentioned a couple of times.
Yeah, he mentions later that she glows at night.
Yeah, I also did you mention the fact that the trees move when there's no wind?
Yeah, we did.
That's kind of creepy. That's kind of creepy. Yeah, and like
I don't remember what child mentioned it. Do you remember, Mr. Gray?
I think it was Merwin, the little one. I think it was Merwin. I didn't write down all the different things.
For some reason, I think it was Xenos.
It might have been. It could have been. Xenos was the oldest. Thaddeus was the middle child, and Merwin was the youngest.
No. Xenos was the middle child.
That's not how I've written it. I actually went through and looked through it. I'm sure it was that I got it right around because I looked read down in my notes. But maybe I was
the youngest. I think you're right, Mr. Gray. Xenos the oldest.
Yeah, that's what I put in my notes
Xenos
anyway.
is the middle child because his dad has to lock him up at some point as well. And then the youngest child is now sad because he doesn't have
a playmate.
Yeah,
his playmate. Yeah. Thaddeus went mad after looking in the well, didn't he? He looked in the well and he said he was saying there's something in the well. There's something in the well. And even when they were advised not to drink the water, because I think it was their neighbour Amy, he said to them, "Don't drink the water. It's bad." But they wouldn't. They carry on drinking it. It's like their will has been sapped, and they can't be even like. It seems like they don't even have the sort of mental fortitude to like think of their own well-being. You know, so it's like they just carry on drinking the water. Even must. I mean, if Amy was able to tell that it was bad just by one taste of it, surely they must have known it was bad as well. But it makes me think that, like I say, the radiation of the colour from outer space was affecting their minds and making them almost like zombie-like. Just like going on about their business. Yeah, maybe a bit of that. It somehow sort of seemed to tie them to the place, didn't it? Rather than leaving. I mean, there could have been financial reasons they weren't able to leave, but I mean, if everything's going as badly as things were going, they knew that they couldn't. I mean, you couldn't help but know the land was bad and there was something real nasty there that you should get away from.
Why not? Yeah, I was thinking all this time, why are you staying?
Exactly. Yeah. I would have bloody all left. But that's what makes me think that there's this like an element of not necessarily mind control, but maybe some kind of addiction to the colour.
When you think about it, we actually some characters actually have some personality traits. Like Ami says that the dad was not the kind to just give up, right?
He was. He seems like he's a good bloke as well. Amy thought of him as being a good fellow, and he was God-fearing. And he mentions later on he can't understand why they're being so persecuted. Things are going so bad for them. Like it's like they're being punished for. He said, "I'm always been a good something like I can't remember what he says. He's always been a God-fearing bloke, and he didn't deserve this kind of fate to befall him, kind of thing."
Or maybe he did.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact order of things. The wife goes mad, then the middle son Thaddeus goes mad. Then Merwin disappears, doesn't he? When he goes to the well, he goes to the well.
Xenos at that point is like a zombie.
Yeah, he just does.
He does things because his dad tells him to do them.
Yeah, and later on,
wait. Before that, well, this is happening. The town is starting to shun them more and more.
Yeah, that's right. Because everyone's
scared
at
of
the
end, no one wants to go there because people who drive by in carriages, they also see the weird squirrels and the lights and everything.
People are driving around. They create a whole new path, didn't they, to get around it rather than go through it.
Get around. Just not to go there. They're scared.
That might have been one of the reasons they didn't get away. Maybe because everyone was scared of them. Maybe no one would take them in. But I reckon Ami would have taken them in if he'd asked. But I don't know.
Yeah, but even Ami was. Remember after things get worse and worse when Nam comes over to him, even and asks him, come over. Ami, even when he's there, he really wants to leave.
Doesn't want to be there. And even the animals are scared. The horse is scared every time he goes there. The horse wants to run away. He doesn't want to be there. Yeah. So the cats and dogs have long since left or no longer around. Yeah, the cats
were there for the mom, but they probably disappeared a lot sooner.
Well, it's quite. Yeah, so the dogs disappeared. The cats had long since gone. No one noticed them because only the mother saw them as pets, and no one else cared because all the mice had disappeared already by now anyway. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter that the cats had disappeared because there was no mice. They were there obviously to kill the mice, and there was no mice, so they didn't.
How would you notice?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like even the mice have disappeared, run away, or bloody will whatever.
But there weren't even bugs there anymore.
No, the bugs died after becoming strangely mutant kind of things. They all turned to ash.
Yeah, everything turned strangely mutant.
Yeah, but yeah,
and towards the end, even the vegetables are coming out as grey and disgusting too.
Yeah, everything turns to this horrible grey ash. But I think that's what makes me think that there is some kind of mental element to the colour.
Such a racist.
But definitely there must be, because any normal person would have moved away. But that's what makes me think that the colour somehow had a hold on them to a certain extent. I don't know, like they were cattle or something. They were like kept there to be slowly fed off. I'm assuming. Yeah. I think that's. Do you reckon that the colour was eating them? That's why they were getting, or do you reckon it was just like a blight, a disease that was killing them, or do you think the actual colour was like sucking like life force from them? Maybe.
It was, because Nam even says that towards the end that it's been sucking them.
That's right.
Trapping them in between dimensions almost.
Does it say something like that? It's hot and cold, but it burns, or something like that? Does it say something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if they kind of used that in the Resident Evil games, because in both the 7 and the 8, when the enemies die, they become like these gray, ashy statues, and they start to crumble.
Right.
And this happens to them as well here.
Yeah. Makes sense. I don't know
if they got the idea from Lovecraft or not.
Probably.
Right, so I've got to the very last visit, because Amy hasn't heard from him for a while. Then he goes to visit him, doesn't he? Like off his own back, doesn't he? And that's when he finds
him weak, lying on the couch.
Yeah,
and he tells it's cold, and he tells Xanos to go and light the fire.
And
that's when he realizes his friend is also
absolutely lost the plot. Yeah, he's telling Xanos to get wood for the fire, and then he says, "Is that better now? There's more wood in the fire," and there is no wood in the fire. So he's obviously seeing things, and he says, "Where's your wife?" Or he goes, "Nabby's right here," or something like that. And she's not. She's upstairs. Now we know that, but he didn't know that. He said she's right here at one point when he asked about her.
No,
he did. He said when he asked about his wife, he goes, "She's right here." I'm pretty sure he did say that.
Do you remember that, Alex? I don't remember him saying that.
I'm pretty sure Mr. Gray's right, yeah.
Yeah, I did. I just listened to it about an hour ago, so it's fresher. It's fresher in my mind. I'm pretty sure that he did. He obviously his mind was gone anyway. He was definitely imagining his son was there.
Yeah, maybe
when he wasn't. And I'm pretty sure
he goes
upstairs.
Tommy goes upstairs to the attic.
Yeah.
Gets some keys and what he sees inside shocks the living daylights out of him.
Yeah.
He almost goes a little mad, doesn't he?
I think he doesn't do his brain much good.
You think it was the corpse of the wife wasn't yet a corpse? But she was already nearly dying, crawling on the floor.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. She was like in the spaces in the stages of changing. Like maybe she was either she was turning to grey ash. But I read somewhere, I got a suggestion from somewhere that he put her out of her misery. I think that was suggested. I think I read that on the Wikipedia as well. Like he kind of like, so if you read between the lines, that's the kind of impression I got.
Because he got a big stick, right? He got a stick.
Yeah. Put her out of her, because she was in no state to, and then that's when he sees the colour from outer space, doesn't he? He actually sees the colour like a gas. He says like he sees the colours floating in the air.
It's around in the room.
Yeah, and so we reckon.
And then he starts to go downstairs, and then he hears noise.
Where was the noise from?
From downstairs, he hears dragging.
I remember. Oh, right. Okay. I don't remember that bit.
And near the end, after he does that, he goes down. I think he checks on the son, and the son is also dead.
I don't think the
middle
dead.
child.
The middle child. I think the son.
No, the middle child is also in the attic.
Oh yeah, was it? No, because he died, didn't he? That's before he died. Yeah, he had died already.
Right. Sorry. Right.
Yeah. That's when
he was buried.
That's right. That's when Nahem goes to visit him. The time before this time, so he went to visit him.
He tells him he buried his son.
Yeah,
right. That happens. Right. So as he goes down the stairs to get his friend and to get him out of there, he hears noise.
Yeah, but I think what had happened when he was upstairs seeing the wife, and like he saw I think the mist went past him. I think the color that was just kind of like a gas, or it seemed like a gas. Is that the Hound of Tindalos?
No, that's Alexa's hound.
Okay, cool.
It's the spacebunzz hound.
I thought it was a colour from outer space that had come to get us for a second. Then it was, yeah. I think what he'd gone. I think the colour had drifted past him, and he had gone to attack Nahum. I think he'd gone to finish him off because when he goes back downstairs.
When I read that scene, I imagined like this swampy creature just walking in there, sucking him dry, and leaving.
But I don't think he let him. Yeah, I think it's more like a gas. Like it's described more as like a mist, like a gas more than anything. It's like a floating kind of color, like a cloud or something like that. It seems to be this kind of the impression I've got for the description of it. A glowing gas. So Nahum dies, and that means that the whole family, the whole garden.
Nahum gets up before he dies. And he tells Ami some final words.
Yeah,
like what it does to you.
Yeah,
and then he crumbles.
Yeah, it talks about living in the well and how he'd taken his sons. He's pretty sure he'd taken his sons, and then he crumbles into dust. And Ami goes to Arkham to get a few. I think he gets about 7 or 9 scientists. I can't remember. 9 people come from Arkham.
No, he gets policemen.
Yeah, from Arkham. Whether they were policemen or whatever they were people.
He gets cops and one not mortician, post.
Yeah, some officials. He gets
coroner. He gets some police, and they go in there. Yeah, and he's very scared to go back because the day is starting to end, and he's terrified of having to stay there at night.
Yeah.
And when they appear there, when they get there, and they continue to investigate, they decide to drain the well. He's also terrified.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And down the well, they
actually pushing a stick.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have a bottom.
It's just like slide. It's like bottomless mud, doesn't it, at the bottom of the well? Because they emptied it out, didn't they? And there wasn't as much water in the well as they would have thought.
Yeah, but they found the body.
They found bones, and like he said,
2 bodies of the 2 sons.
Yeah, and also a dog. Buried. A dog and smaller animals as well, which might have been the cats. It could have been the cats. It may have started on the cats, started on the small, because the cats disappeared first. They ran away because they were scared, like the horses did, or they were taken into the well by the colour. So it could have well been the cats were taken first, then the dog was taken,
Indeed.
And then it was like, oh, now we have humans. Now the next course will be the children. So. I think he took the youngest first, didn't he? He took the smallest one first, I'm assuming. I think Merwin was the first one to disappear.
Yeah, but
he tried to take
was the first one to die.
Yeah, but he wasn't killed. Yeah, I'm not sure if he was killed by the monster or not, but he tried to grab him once. And that's when he went mad.
It's probably maybe more sensitive than the rest of them, and they already sucked all the life from him.
Maybe I think he went mad. I think he tried to take him when he went to the well. He tried to take him, and that's what made his mind snap. And that's when they locked him in the room because his mind snapped. And it's quite weird. Some of the things they would shout to each other from room to room, didn't they? We talked about him shouting like weird.
Yeah, Marvin said it was almost like they were communicating in some horrible language.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like what was going on there? Was that just an element of their psychosis, or was there something to do with what the color had done to them? It's very, very strange.
But you think they would have been able to even communicate, or maybe it was the seeds communicating with each other?
Who knows? Yeah, it was again. That's another one of those things where you have to interpret it yourself and read between the lines and maybe make up your own element to the story. Just like tell yourself whatever you find most interesting, you might as well assign that to what happened. I suppose.
Yeah.
Have your own.
That's a good idea.
Private theory. Yeah. Make up your own private theory. But then everything starts going crazy, doesn't it? That's when the light starts in earnest, doesn't it? The lights start coming out of the well and the trees.
The horses are going mad outside.
They did one horse gets killed, doesn't it? His horse. he called Hero or something? His horse was called, wasn't it? Does anyone remember the name of his horse? Amy's horse?
Hero, yeah, maybe Hero.
I think it was called Hero. Yeah, he got killed, didn't it? The horse got killed.
The thing is, they hear the horses. The police horses manage to run away.
Yeah, they bolt.
This horse doesn't.
Yeah.
The driver for the cops is about to go out, but Ami stops him from going out. And then they start seeing all the color and all the let's call them seeds really start flying up.
Yeah, I think that kind of thing. I think they did a runner, didn't they? Because everything starts going crazy. I think the plants were moving, the trees were moving, lights are all coming out. And
it all starts to come out of it and go up to space, really.
And
also, like a portal opens. You think they're sent there like, kind of like that. And then it reminds me of this one movie, it's a race of aliens where they drained the queen there, drained all the water from her planet. So she comes to Earth, poses as a human woman, and starts to infest the school, the high school she's in.
I don't know that film.
No, I mean
maybe,
or maybe it's, and you know what? Maybe this is the wrong movie to mention. Maybe it's like with the Predator, where they send someone to a planet to get something out of there. I think that's what happens with these meteorites.
I don't think they.
I think they're sent to suck the life out of whatever planet they get. They come to and then
I don't know.
Leave when they're drained.
I think like. Like when seeds are shot at, like when plants, they just send their seeds all over the place, don't they? So maybe it's there's like a bigger asteroid, like a seed pod that explodes and spreads this, like the meteors go flying off in different directions. Some of them probably go like get killed. Some of them don't land on ground, which is any good for them. But this one happened to land on the earth where it was able to flourish. And I think it's took its nutrients out of the ground, out of the people that are around. And when it's got its strength up, it's now ready to fly. It's now ready to take wing and fly. And like because it's so completely alien to us, well, maybe it lives in the space. Maybe it's now flying around the spaceways, or who knows. Because it's like it doesn't obey the laws of our physics, does it? It's like it's literally Santa Claus. It's literally like a color, isn't it? It's like I got the impression that it's got this strength up from sucking the life out of things, and then it's like flying off now. He just shoots off up into space.
Yeah, and they all ran in a different direction, not to come anywhere near it.
That's right.
I think that's the point where Ami's mind starts to snap.
Yeah, I've got the little section here. There's a couple of bits I wanted. This is a description of what was going on. A riot of luminous amorphousness, the alien and undimensioned rainbow of cryptic poison from the well, seething, feeling, lapping, reaching, scintillating, straining, and malignly bubbling in its cosmic and unrecognizable chromaticism. So that's all to do with the colors that are like bubbling. I don't know. It's just like
colors that were not colors. You just
the colors. The human eye can't quite work out because it's not quite within our spectrum. They kind of know that they're colours, or they think that they're colours, or the closest approximation they can make to them is calling it a colour. But like, is it actually a colour? It's just some weird scintillating light kind of stuff, isn't it? Which is the alien. The color from outer space. There's a section, the bit afterwards that as they're going away, Ami has
running away more accurately.
Yeah. He rather foolishly looks around again. He looks around again.
He looks back.
The color goes flying off into space.
Yeah,
but I've read this quite a bit, but I'm gonna read it anyway. It says this is about Ami. For he had an added shock that the others were spared, and was crushed forever with a brooding fear he dared not even mention for many years to come. As the rest of the watchers on that tempestuous hill had stolidly set their faces toward the road, Ami had looked back an instant at the shadowed valley of desolation, so lately sheltering his ill-starred friend. And from that stricken faraway spot he had seen something feebly rise, only to sink down again upon the place from which the great shapeless horror had shot into the sky. It was just a colour, but not any colour of our earth or heavens. And because Ami recognised that colour and knew that this last faint remnant might still lurk down there in the well, he has never been quite right since. So yeah, that's what that was the last straw that broke the camel's back. Like the thing had disappeared into the sky,
Can you
left
blame
the earth.
him?
Yeah, everyone else thinks it's safe, but the other guy notices because that's when there was more than one little. Because they said that before there was probably more than one little pod inside that big outer meteorite. There was more than one little bit of color, little concentrated nugget of color inside it, and which we assume are the alien creatures. So maybe there was only two in there, and one of them managed. One of them got enough strength, like from the people, from the animals to escape, but the other one didn't get enough strength up to escape, and maybe it was the runt of the litter or something, and he fell back down to earth and climbed back into the well. But so it's not Timmy down the well; it's the
then we go back, and then we go, because it still affects him half a century later, like our narrator says.
The feel
half a
of
century later, it's still he's still there. He can't leave. Why doesn't he leave?
Yeah, that's another thing. Maybe he isn't quite close enough to it to be as badly affected as Nahum and his family, the Gardner family. But maybe he's close enough to not be able to move away. Who knows? Yeah. But
because think about it. Everyone left the area. The foreigners tried to live there. The foreigners.
That's right. No one would live there. No one would stay there.
Yeah, no one can stay there because the dreams they got from just staying there were too much.
Yeah, and just the fear of the place.
But Ami stayed there. Think about it. His wife probably already died.
Yeah.
He's still there.
Yeah, he's on his own now. I can't remember what it said if they mentioned about his wife, but
No, it doesn't. But it's just when he was younger, it says he had his wife.
Yeah.
But then when in the present,
he's on his own later on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He's on his own.
Well, the most worrying thing for me is like they're going to make it into a reservoir, and a couple of times the narrator says there's nothing that could make me drink that water. Nothing could persuade me to drink the water from that reservoir.
Or to live there, or to go visit.
But it makes you think if the reservoir is going to become filled, it's going to fill out the well, whatever. Does that mean that the color is going to be able to get stronger and like move around in the water, and whoever drinks the water, are they going to be affected by the water that they're drinking? That is the question.
But if it was on the ground, you think it would be able to spread further anyway?
Well, it is. It's growing an inch every year. Do you remember it said that, doesn't it? It said the blighted ground had been growing very, very slowly, 1 inch every year. So maybe it's still down the well, and it's like it's getting slightly stronger, and it's sucking a little bit more out of the ground each year and killing a little bit more vegetation each year.
Yeah, it's kind of grey and dry. Everything is there.
Yeah,
the sky isn't right.
But you think about the blighted blighted heath. The blasted heath. Is it blasted heath or blighted heath? The blasted heath, isn't it?
Blasted.
The blasted heath. It's like the epicenter, but it spreads outward as well because the vegetation around it is weird as well, isn't it? You mentioned that at the beginning about the trees are thicker than they should be.
Scared to be there.
Yeah, something about the trees, maybe it's just like a presence or an atmosphere caused by the colour. But I'm assuming it's getting stronger every time, and I can't imagine that flooding the area is going to help in any way.
It does seem like it will. He looks forward to it in the end for it to all be drowned down below and things built over it.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Remember, like he also says, I'm gonna write a note to the engineer to look out for Emmy.
Yeah,
so nothing happens to him.
But I think he might have underestimated it. He thinks that covering it up is going to get rid of the problem. It's going to drown the problem out. It's going to smother the problem. It's going to be buried underwater. Not going to worry about it. But what's to say that it doesn't just make the creature stronger? The water's not going to kill it, is it? It was living down the well for ages. It's probably just going to pollute the water, and hell knows what effect that's going to have on the people of Arkham who's going to be drinking that water.
Well, when the story ended, I was like, "Ooh, this is not going well. They're all fucked."
Yeah, I think because if you think about it, he must realise it himself because he says nothing would persuade me to drink that water. Nothing would ever persuade. Maybe he's like, maybe he thinks no one will believe him because no one believes Amy. Everyone believes Amy's mad.
Who would believe you if you came and said, "Listen, there's an alien color down in the well that sucks the life out of everything."
Exactly.
So guys, we can't build here.
Yeah,
they would send them to Arkham.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a good point, but that's it makes you. I wonder if anyone, as I say, because quite a lot of people moved on with Lovecraft stories and used these characters and situations to make their own stories. I wonder if anyone's ever done a story about what happened at the blasted heath and the reservoir.
Perhaps they did. It seems like though Cthulhu is still the most popular and well known.
Oh yeah.
It's got two games.
This is at about. I'm looking it up at about. It had this had 4 movie versions done of it, going back to the 60s. It'd been done.
Really?
Yeah, 4 or 5 movie versions. Let me see if I can find them. I've seen a few of them. I know there was a German one, there was an Italian one. They started 1965, Die Monster Die. It's based on The Colour from Outer Space. Then there's a 1987 one called The Curse. 2008
I'd love to hear a German yelling, "The Color Out of Space!"
Yeah. The 2008 one's called Colour from the Dark. That's set in Italy. And 2010's Die Farbe, means the colour. That's a German version. And there's Die Farbe. Yeah, there's a.
Sounds like Die Father.
Yeah. Well, then there's the one I told you about before of Nicolas Cage, 2019, which is a pretty cool version. Pretty cool. I mean, are you going to watch it? So I can tell you what happens in it if you want me to tell you. Are you going to, or are you likely to watch it? Do you want spoilers?
But isn't the same thing that happens in the story?
There is a similar bit. Then there's another bit which is quite a bit different. Do you want me to tell you, or keep it under my hat?
No, I might do. You know what? I probably won't watch it as always.
Right, so somehow the colour kind of sort of blasts, and a mother. It's different family setup. There's only 2 children, a girl and a boy, but then the mother and the child get fused together somehow. Like the colour kind of sort of blasts them, and they kind of get fused like into one. So they're like the boy is growing out of his mother's back kind of thing, and they're like lying. They're locked up in the room like she was when she went mad, but they're locked up in the. I think he ends up.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah, it was quite nasty. And he starts.
To be fair, though, it would make the story more exciting.
Yeah, but I suppose he added a
more.
Look,
Mr. Gray got a box.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, that was pretty cool. Hey, Sanimation.
Hey, how are you?
Looking into the Wikipedia as well, there was saying that he was possibly influenced by something called the Radium Girls. There was some women who I think were working in the watch factory who were using radium, like a radioactive, to paint on the numbers and the little spaces on the watch on people's watches. And they didn't know in the time that they knew the radium glowed in the dark. They didn't know it was poisonous and radiation. So they would have their little brushes, they'd lick their brushes, they'd put in the radium, paint it on and they all like end up teeth falling out, hair falling out, dying of radiation poisoning. And it was like saying that possibly that kind of radiation stuff was one of the influences for Lovecraft stories.
The Color Out of Space.
Yeah, because you think about it, it's kind of got that, like radiation, maybe.
Those would have made cool monsters, though. Glowing bulb chicks with paintbrushes coming after you.
Could be fun.
Yeah, I think they could use that in the Silent Hill or something like that. That would be quite.
Totally.
Creepy. There was a good game I played called The Suffering. That had monsters that are kind of based on what they've done in life. So there was like soldiers, and they ended up like having guns on their back, and they were like walking kind of tank people. And there was people. I think I can't remember what happened. There was those really creepy monsters who were like got blades for hands and feet, and they used to scuttle around like spiders with like blade hands. They're like horrible.
Oh, that's with the guy, right? With Sam.
No, I don't remember.
Is that with Sam?
I don't remember.
The main character is a guy who.
I can't remember. I know the game was called. There was 2 of them. The game was called The Suffering. That's what I can remember. It's set in a prison. Guys in a prison, and suddenly the prison starts going crazy.
I saw that one. That was a cool game.
Yeah, the monsters are horrible, aren't they? The monsters are
some shit though.
What was shit?
I mean, some shit happens in that game.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. Lots of horrible shit.
They need to remaster that with today's graphics. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game. There was number 2 as well. But hi, Jibber Jungs. Right then, so I think we've kind of covered that. Like, has anyone got any other theories?
And it ends with our narrator saying, I'm still gonna have I still have an easy sleep after all that I've heard.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah, like he obviously believed. All the other people saying, "Oh, he's because I think he must have just seen because like he saw
because he went there and he felt it.
Yeah, he felt it. Yeah, it must have been such a palpable kind of menace and like disquietness to the place that like he just like this is freaking me out before he even knew about the story. Like it was, and that's why he wanted to find out more.
Want to go and find out what really happened.
And then, like, he had no intention of ever going back there again or drinking the water that was.
It's like, all right, I'm quitting. Find some other engineer. I don't want to be here.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of a Swamp Thing story, Alan Moore, the Swamp Thing story, where they filled a reservoir in, and it was a town inhabited by vampires, and they filled it in. They covered it over with a reservoir, and so there's all these underwater vampires there under this lake in this
Swamp Thing story. Just got a whole lot better.
Yeah, so it kind of reminded me slightly of that, of like just the fact of like covering water over like a menace or whatever. So that's the only sort of slight kind of memory it jogged on me there. But I think that was a good story. That was one of his home favourites, and a lot of people, think that was one of his best. So
I definitely add more to the characters than his normal stories do.
Yeah,
we didn't have just nameless narrator. We had more characters.
Kind of felt more for the characters because of the fact that you say they were built up a little bit more, and you sort of heard a bit more about them.
Yeah.
Like in the Call of Cthulhu, we kind of already knew that everyone was dead. So it was like we knew they were reading from his papers. So
no reason to get attached to them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. This was the one with the meteor, Jibba. That's right, Jibba. The meteor that crashes, blights the land, kills the animals and the crops, and that kind of thing. There is a link down below if you want to reread it. It's all public access now, all of Lovecraft stuff. So if there's a link down below, if you want to read it, just click on the description. You can read it again. I like to read it whilst listening to it at the same time. I always go to on YouTube. There's always people reciting them on YouTube. So I go to YouTube, type in cut out space audio, and I listen to it at the same time as reading along. I don't know. I just find that I don't know. It works for me. I don't know why.
This is definitely one of his more one of the stories where the characters are far more developed.
Yeah, and also you
still not nameless narrator. That should be a whole Lovecraft character, the nameless narrator.
Exactly. Wouldn't it be a shame if it was the same nameless narrator in all of them? No, it wouldn't be. That wouldn't work. But yeah.
No, I mean they should make a game where you play as nameless narrator.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
In Cthulhu.
Yeah. I was gonna say now. Yeah. We still haven't actually had any dialogue, have we? They tells you what people have said. But there's no actual dialogue between characters like done in that kind of way.
But you did mention he's not very good at dialogue, didn't you?
Yeah, I think that's one of the criticisms. I don't know if he wasn't very good, but that was one of the criticisms that was leveled against him. But I just don't know if he ever felt the need to do it. I mean, I don't know.
It just makes sense because most of his correspondence was in letters.
Yeah,
and in letters you sit down and you write everything and describe.
Right.
I just think maybe he didn't feel the need, like because of the format he was writing for, just short stories for magazines.
Yeah,
he was like he couldn't be bothered to do all that.
Time to dialogue, but maybe he really couldn't because he didn't. I mean, like we said, he was a loner, right?
That's true. Yeah, so maybe
he didn't hang out around other people to know how to.
Yeah,
he couldn't. Yeah.
But also, like we say, everything, all the stories have always got a nameless narrator. So it's always from the narrator just telling you the story, or the narrator laying it out the story, or the narrator writing the story down. Yeah. So there is no kind of like
telling it through you.
Yeah, telling it through the narrator. Yeah, I think there might be a few later on.
Like in the Call of Cthulhu, where the narrator, at least we learn about his family and things like that. He's still very much like a puppet.
Yeah.
Like a blank puppet, then there's nothing to him.
Yeah.
Like we don't get a sense of what kind of person he is. He's just kind of polite in society and knows what to say.
Yeah. Just
but that's it. There's nothing to him.
Yeah.
Like you can't we couldn't think, yes, that narrator he had. We don't even know what he had.
Makes you wonder if he could have done like a big thick book, you know, with like fully developed characters and, you know, interplay between characters.
I'm starting to think he might not have been able to. Because if he had to fill dialogue, I think he would struggle because he didn't interact much with people.
I think he did later on. I think he did get out because he'd say he was married for a time. I think but I don't know. I need to read the Bible one day.
He'd still have to, you know, it'd be different if he had to make interactions between multiple people.
Yeah, possibly. What's the next one we're doing? Is it Danish horror?
Let me check.
I think you remember.
I actually have the next thing I have in the book. It's that's just for me to read about the Necronomicon.
I've been after other bit dinner.
Oh, babe, it's my dinner's here. Got to eat my dinner.
Hi, Lisa. All right, the Curse of Yig.
Oh yeah, that was a short one, wasn't it? Is that the one that's a short one, like half a page or something?
No, actually, it's quite a few pages.
Okay, cool. So the Curse.
It's from 80. It's from 88 to 103 here. So.
All right.
It's not. Hi, Tyler.
Hi,
Tyler. Did you change your channel name, by the way? It wasn't Shattered Glass Comics Reviews. It was different, right?
I always remember it's Shattered Glass. He's got the little sign up behind him when he does it, hasn't he? Anyway.
Yeah, but I remember it was a different one.
I don't remember. I thought it was Shattered Glass. But I've got my dinner in now, so we'll have to say goodbye.
All
we'll have to go.
All right, so our next one is
the Curse of Yig.
Yeah, the Curse of Yig.
Yeah.
That will be the one we'll do next week. You meant the Dunwich horror, Mr. Gray? Was that the one you were asking about?
Yeah.
That one's next. That one's after. That one's long.
Oh, yeah. Well, Farley will know the Curse of Yig because a band I know he likes, same as I like, called Gwar. They've got a song called The Curse of Yig. I'm pretty sure that if I'm remembering correctly.
That's going to be a long read for us, gentlemen and ladies.
We'll manage.
Yeah.
Right, I've got to go.
So the Curse of Yig is next.
Cool. Well done on taking over when my internet decided it didn't want to work anymore. When my internet jumped out the window, used to investigators into the mythos soldiered on like brave investigators and carried on the stream for me. So thanks for that. And we'll be back next week. Same Cthulhu time, same Cthulhu channel.
Remember, if you feel you're going nuts. I'm sorry, Tyler. I must have never paid attention that well. I thought for some reason your channel name was different.
If you feel like you're going nuts, talk to Matilda and she'll send you completely nuts.
If you feel you're nuts, I'll direct you to Arkham.
Yeah.
Just whatever you do, if you get a cell near the Joker, run.
Yeah. Okay then. Till next week. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye.